You know, there's a certain type of comedian that is far lower on the comedy totem pole than literally any other sort of comedian, and that is the on SNL, funny in 10-minute increments, but does not have the charisma or comedy chops to carry their own film kind of comedian. Will Ferrell is that kind of comedian, but what he lacks in the charisma to carry a film, he also lacks in masculinity and common sense. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and if you haven't heard, there's a video making the rounds on X about Will Ferrell talking about how women should run the world, and no, it is not part of his classic funny Will Ferrell gags, but he's being entirely serious about how women are just so much better than men, and men have been destroying the world since 10,000 BC, which is actually really incredible that we've managed to continue destroying the world for what would be about 12,000 years, and yet humanity is still around, not only around, but thriving. Let's check out what he has to say so you don't just take my word for it. Let's listen to him and get the context. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. We're on our way. Actually, we're just over 2,000 subscribers now. Thank you so much to everyone that got me there, and there's no reason to stop. Hit the button if you're new. Let's subscribe, let's grow, and let's see what Will Ferrell has to say when Morgan Ariel says Will Ferrell is a homosexual. Let's take a peek.
Forget about the entertainment world, isn't it?
Well, that's already not hard to do, because nobody on our side of the internet respects the entertainment world, respects these adult pretenders who like to talk about politics and think they've got some firm grasp on policy or how the world works, living in their multi-million-dollar mansions, ignoring the plight of the common folk, and talking about how diversity, equity, inclusion is what makes the world a better place, when they couldn't care less about any of you on the ground level who are going through actual poverty, actual problems, actual things that you need to make your life better, as long as they say the popular things or the nice things on the internet, like when Madonna called COVID the great equalizer. Yes, I will happily forget about the entertainment world. Most people watching this video will, because we don't care about you or what you think.
Isn't it just time? Isn't it just time for women to run the planet?
You heard it here first, folks. Isn't it time for women to run the planet? The whole planet. Just every country, every continent, every city, state, county, whatever it is, isn't it time for women to run them? Because let's be real, that's never happened before. That's never happened in the past. We haven't had women leaders. We haven't had Marie Antoinette or Queen Elizabeth. In fact, I could have sworn a famous, British queen just recently died, but I guess not, since women have never ran the world or ran anything. To be fair, there have been a few movies and then Netflix TV shows as of late about females who were in power. What was it called? Oh, there was The Woman King, there was Cleopatra. Both stories so fantastic, they had to be changed to make the truth a bit better, because the original versions of the story weren't exactly super favorable to women, because turns out women can also be monstrous rulers. There's the entire Marie Antoinette let them eat cake story, which, don't get me wrong, isn't true. That's fabricated, but you have a story about a female leader who decided to poison all her people. So yeah, women have got a great reputation. I'm not saying men are any better, but maybe, just humans in general, especially the humans that pine for power and want power, aren't the ones that deserve power. But yeah, just lay a blanket statement that women are inherently better when there's no evidence to support that, and then pretend women have never been in charge, when we have had, there's such things as monarchies and matriarchies that are monarchies, women in control. Queen has been a word in the English language since I don't know when, and for queen to be a word, you'd have to have a definition, the definition of, a woman ruler. So there have been women rulers in the past, but alright, what else you got for us, Philly? Willie? I don't know why I said Philly.
I'm not just trying to placate you, I swear.
Comedians stop being funny because women. You know what? That usually only happens to female comedians. But here we have a male comedian doing his best to pretend to be a male feminist, which, well, you gotta get on the internet and realize most male feminists turn out to be rapists, pedophiles, or worse, both. So I'm curious which one you were. I'm curious how many times you flew on Epstein's plane. But again, I'm just taking some wild guesses here. Trust me, Will, you don't want to be a male feminist. You definitely don't want to stop being funny just to I'm not placating you. That's exactly what you're doing, and that's not what you're doing. If you really mean this, oh my God, you are a moron.
But I don't know what else to do, because we men, we've been running the show since what, 10,000 BC, something like that, and we're not doing so good. So
we're not doing so good. Apparently, we're not doing good. Men who've been running the world for about 12,000 years, according to Will Ferrell, we're not doing good. Now, I would like to remind you guys that in the year 2023, we've got the best living conditions the human race has ever seen. We've got the longest life expectancy in the history of the world. People in poverty in America, some of the lowest of the low, people in poverty in America still have more wealth than historically the vast majority of any human in the world. The people in poverty in America right now will be looked at by people who were wealthy or at least, middle class 5 to 1000 years ago and be like, wow, they are exorbitantly rich because they are alive. They've got, at least a roof over their head. The idea that our modern technology that has been invented by modern humans, that only came about and is not good enough, according to Will Ferrell. We've been doing such a horrible job. These moving pictures he's in that allows him to make millions upon millions of dollars could not have come about without technological advancements. But men have not been doing a good job for the last, again, 12,000 years, give or take. It's just so mind-blowing that he can sit here, have this perfect life. I don't know if it's perfect. Even celebrities, I'm sure, don't have perfect lives. Money doesn't buy happiness. But let's be real, a much better life than probably the vast majority of individuals, at least when it comes for, not struggling, not wanting for anything. And he wants to pretend like he understands the way the world works, and he thinks that people, people have been destroying the world on account of they have penises for the last 12,000 years. That is truly one of the most brain-dead takes, and also, the greatest part about this is that he's saying it's time for women to run the world, as if men have to let women do that. So he's also being a bit misogynistic in that he doesn't think women can run the world without men giving them permission. He is a man giving women permission. Hey, it's your guys' turn. That doesn't come off right either, but of course I'm sure he didn't think about that because, again, he's a Hollywood moron. He's just saying things he thinks sounds good to, again, placate them, even though he says that's not what he's doing. But let's hit play. Let's hear his final thoughts here, these last 4 seconds. Maybe he's got some parting wisdom.
Please, can you guys just take over? Forget about the...
Can you guys take over? Well, first of all, who's in control currently? Because we all know Joe Biden ain't in control. And his right-hand woman, is she the one in control? Is she not good enough? I mean, you want her to take over? I don't know. Biden clearly isn't the one running the show, so if he's not running it, who is? Is Kamala Harris running it? Do you really think that Kamala Harris is qualified to run the country right now? Hey, maybe you don't. Well, what about Nikki Haley? Are you a pro Nikki Haley fan, Will Ferrell? Are you gonna throw your hat in the ring and donate to the Republican Party to donate to Nikki Haley, the warmonger? It totally blows my mind. He says, women take over. Take over what? It's not as if the world is ran by men. We live in a point in society where there are plenty of female CEOs. There have been female presidents in other, in other countries, let's be honest. That hasn't happened in America yet, but there have been countries that have had female presidents. There have been queens, again, of monarchies. There are women in CEO positions. There are women in the tech field. In fact, we have the most advanced society for women in the workplace right now. Yet times are actually worse in this current moment than they have been in quite some time. Now look, I'm not about to get all sexist on you here. I'm very pro equality. I'm very pro men and women doing what they want to do. If women want to try and be a CEO or be president, go for it. I don't think anyone should stop you. But not based on the fact that you are a woman. It should be about what you want in general. I don't see a lot of women signing up to mine coal. It's just not something that happens. I do see a lot of women signing up to be babysitters, nurses, things like that. It's an interest thing. No one's saying that women can't be in power. Most women really don't want to be in power, and the ones that do, well, you really shouldn't trust them, but that's because you shouldn't want to trust anyone who wants to be in power. People like Nikki Haley, people like Hillary Clinton, people like Kamala Harris are not the types of individual that you should actually trust, because anyone that lusts for power is going to be corrupted by said power. And it's not as if we haven't almost had, women in power in the U.S. before now. First of all, secretaries, congresswomen, judges, anything to that effect, senators, we've had women in power. Also, John McCain chose Sarah Palin as his vice president running mate. Now, granted, he didn't end up getting elected, for better or for worse, but there would have been a female in the White House, or sort of in the White House, however that works, there would have been a female vice president in, 2008 had John McCain won, but, you had to vote based on skin color instead of based on policy. All I'm getting at is, Will Ferrell is in fact a homosexual. I mean, that's what Morgan Ariel said on Twitter. Will Ferrell's a homosexual, and yep, this was a pretty gay statement from Will Ferrell. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure where this came from, what sort of award he was speaking at. I don't know if maybe him being on the set of Barbie for months at a time and seeing all the pink and all the set design and just looking at Margot Robbie every day had him thinking, feminism is the way. But something's clearly wrong with Will Ferrell. I've never really been a big Will Ferrell fan. I'll be honest, I hate Elf. I know, controversial take. Probably the most controversial thing I'll say all video is that I hate the movie Elf. But it's true. I've always hated Elf. One of the worst Christmas movies of all time. Watch the Santa Claus like an adult. But other than that, don't like Ricky Bobby. Step Brothers, that's alright. Zoolander's good. But Will Ferrell ain't exactly the star. And I can guarantee you, Mugatu is more intelligent of a character than Will Ferrell is in real life. All in all, this is just one of the most brain-dead takes, because even with the most simple of critical thinking, you can look back and realize, hey, none of what he said is either A, historically accurate, or B, makes any sort of logical sense when you apply it to the real world. It is just diversity pandering. And not diversity as in skin color, because there's more than that. Now, this is pandering to what is looked at as the inferior gender by individuals like Will Ferrell, because he thinks that he needs to talk to women like this because they're not good enough to say these messages themselves. You don't have women getting up there and saying, come on girls, let's do it, like that old World War II girl in the do-rag. No, Will the Cuck Ferrell has to get down on his knees and practically beg women to take over because men have been doing such a piss poor job, even though throughout the majority of history, it has been the male leadership that has led him to where he is today, and that is to be a multi-million-dollar cuck. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. We just got over the 2,000 subscriber mark, and I truly appreciate it. So 3,000, here we come. We got this. Thank you everyone who has hit that button thus far and has supported me. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.